Hello and welcome to my channel. I got this cactus at a Lowe's and I saw this really cool rock in the planter and I wanted to get the plant, so that's why I brought it home. So here I'm trying to find the tools and whatever supplies I need to start dismantling this poor planter. For some reason, whoever put this planter together, they glued the rocks in the planter. So I was going into this pretty blind, not really sure what was going to happen. And so, yeah, I really like this blue rock that it had in it. I've never seen box stores sell planters with like fancy little rocks in their planters with the plants, so it caught my interest. So there I just picked up one little piece. It looks like a little rock dirt brownie. All that is stuck together. It's not even moving at all, which is terrible for the plant, it's not getting any oxygen. So that was kind of my first taste in what I was getting into, and I smelled it to make sure it wasn't rotten or anything like that, and it was clean. So I'm gently tipping the thing over, making sure I don't hit it. And I wasn't sure how hard it would be for me to take the rocks out of the dirt, so I just started hitting the pot just to make it easier for myself. And so here you see me just kind of grab it, and I'm literally pulling sheets of glued rocks out of the planter. And I have video after this showing up close what it looks like after I take it all out. It's pretty crazy. I've actually I think I might have gotten a plant one other time that had the same thing. But I think it was a fake plant as well. So, I mean, that doesn't really mean anything. But they put this on a live plant, which I can't imagine is very good for it. So there's the close-up, and that is one hole. It's not moving, it's not breaking. Like, I'm actually shocked that they put it in there like that. Just all these solid pieces of just, even the dirt underneath is like sticking. It never fell off hardly at all, which is crazy. Every single one. And I even tried to dismantle all those, and they're very hard to break apart. But this rock was awesome. So after I did that, I had a place where I wanted to put it. And since I lost a lot of plants on this side of the house, I wanted to make a different strategy. And my strategy was that a lot of the plants that I had that survived during the summer, they were all mature plants. So I'm doing a little bit of an experiment with new plants, and it's not the greatest because I've spent so much money on plants that have died, but I figure with this, it's either going to work really well or it's not going to work at all. And I feel like this is going to work better than what I was doing before, because this summer was just so brutal, and the temperatures were up to like 110, 115 all the way through September even. It was very, very hot, and even the locals in the Phoenix area were saying it's pretty abnormal to be getting this much heat for so long. So my strategy, basically, long story short, is to plant plant these cactuses and whatever else I get with as much of the roots intact as possible. So before, what I used to do, because I didn't want to have to dig so much, because the soil and the dirt, it's not even soil, it's just like really hard sand almost. And so I was cutting, the root balls and chopping them in half, sometimes taking most of them off to get them in the ground, because I couldn't make big enough holes to plant them. And so cutting the roots was just easier. But I'm kind of thinking that maybe that's the reason why the plants didn't survive, because the majority of the plants that I did that to, they pretty much died. So yeah, this is my first attempt to plant this cactus and keep as much of the roots as I can. As you can tell there, I pretty much left the whole thing. I just tried to take out as much of the soil out of the planter it was in, and remove the dirt around the roots to make it easier and more like manipulate it a little better when I put it in the ground. Like the roots are just kind of hanging and loose, which is fine as long as they're not cut and they're not ripped up and all that. So here I am just backfilling the cactus here with the soil that it had in the planter, because the soil itself was actually okay. It was just that top layer of the planter, for some reason, they just absolutely caked the rocks with glue for some reason, which is so crazy to me. I don't know why they did that, but yeah. So I backfilled, and I had to hold it up a little bit and backfill to help it stand up so that I could work my way around it a little bit without having to hold it. And there I'm like pulling the Portulacaria back because it was kind of overlapping the hole where I'm putting the cactus. So yeah, there's that. I'm just backfilling, and I've been wanting this cactus. I've been eyeballing it for some time. I'd say maybe a couple months. Like, I've seen it in the Lowe's and Home Depot, but I didn't get it because they don't just sell one at a time. A lot of times they'll put multiple cactuses in one planter, and I didn't want to do that. I just wanted one because I knew what my strategy was going to be, and I didn't want to have to mess with multiple of the same plant all at once and worry about whether they were going to survive or not. So I just wanted to start with one and slowly work my way back into the backyard, I should say, and slowly build the backyard back up, because again, I live in southern Arizona, and wow, the heat this summer has been nothing like I've experienced. And I've lived out in the desert for over 8 years. And so this summer was definitely challenging. And there I just finished planting it. So I'm just picking up my mess and putting back the light. And then here is day 2 of planting. I got this Mangave ink blot because I noticed the other Mangave I had did really well, and it said this one takes full sun. So I'm going to try and do the same thing with this one, which is try and manipulate the roots around it so that they aren't ripped up or cut or anything. I'm just going to try and remove as much of the soil around it as I can and let the roots sit loose. And so when I bury it, in case for some reason we get like a super big drought for the winter, or if we get a really hot summer again with no rain, which is what happened this summer. I think these plants will have a better chance of surviving if I just leave the roots alone and I just plant it loosely so that it has plenty of room to just grow and do its thing and be happy. And so there I'm just taking off all the leaves underneath that were kind of old and tattered. And I noticed when I was taking it out of the planter, the tips of the leaves were breaking fairly easily, but I'm not too worried about it because I know it'll keep growing new leaves, so it's just a cosmetic thing. It's not going to kill or hurt the plant, I don't think. So there you see I was able to get a lot of the soil out from those roots, and the soil for that plant was actually really nice as well. So I used it when I buried it in the ground there. And so I'm just scoring it. And I didn't bring my other tool when I planted this one. But that's pretty much what I've been doing to cut into the dirt. Because it's so hard, I have to score it. So it's very difficult to dig with a shovel because, it just doesn't move at all. So, yeah, I planted these plants, and the weather has been so nice. It cooled down so much, down to the 70s. And when I'm planting here, it started getting pretty windy, but I didn't care. I was getting dirt in my eyes and everything. But I didn't care. I was just enjoying the cooler weather, and it was nice and overcast. And so I was just planting and enjoying the day, because I've gone all summer just watching my plants die. And it was pretty depressing. I'm not going to lie about that. So I was very eager to get back outside and get my hands in the dirt and play with plants again, because I like doing it. It's a lot of fun. It makes me happy. I don't do this for money. I don't do this, it's more like just a hobby for me. So I like it a lot. And also I'm still kind of a newbie at this plant stuff, so I know I live in the desert and my options are pretty limited as far as wanting to put plants in the backyard that I would like, which is like everything tropical. So I'm just kind of learning to navigate that and to find plants that will still give a tropical feel. And, one of the plants that I have, I should say multiple of the same plant that I have, are the canna lilies. They do really well. I don't have to overwinter them or anything. I just leave them out all year. And they do great. And they look super tropical. And you can see there, I have a euphorbia next to this inkblot, and I have a cactus on the other side of it. I have multiple, but there it is. I have that cactus there. And then the pencil cactus, which you saw in the clip earlier, is growing so big it's past the fence line. So I'm almost a little concerned about it, because if we get a really big windstorm or a microburst again, I don't know what's going to happen to it. I would be pretty sad if it broke and it fell over or something, but I think they grow back, so I'm not worrying about it too much. I'm just gonna let it be. So yeah, this is my last plant. I'm putting in a Tacoma, I think some people call it yellow bells, but I'm not sure. I really like the fragrance of this plant. And right here it was very, very windy, and I think you could probably tell the longer this video goes that the wind is blowing so much that you can see like a layer of dust in the air on the camera. But I mean, I don't care. I didn't let it faze me at all. And of course my dogs always have to look into what I'm doing and be right there all the time, always. They're really good dogs. And they're very energetic and they like to play. So yeah, I'm just kind of hitting this pot because the plant actually wasn't coming out as easy as the other two did. So there's that, and you can see the roots are nice and healthy. And I got this one because I have another Tacoma plant that has been doing very well. It's drought tolerant. I hardly water it, and it does very well. So I got another one to try and refresh the backyard after the brutal summer and all the plants that I lost. And so, yeah, here I am. I'm using that tool I should have used with the Mangave, and I didn't, but it's okay. I didn't have to dig that big of a hole for that one anyway. It was kind of already set there for me, so not that big of a deal. So I ended up getting a different tool here, the same one I used for the cactus in the first video. And I had to actually score the hole in this, or I should say I had to score the dirt in this hole quite a few times before I could get it level. And it took me, I don't know, 15-20 minutes. And I actually had that all recorded too, but I cut it all out because I didn't want to have to make you watch all of that. So here I am putting it in and wondering what level it's at, and I realized I could look at my phone camera and see where it was at. And so I'm discovering, well, let me see how much more dirt I can get off the top. Yeah, I had to keep scoring and it was still not really going down much, so I started moving as much dirt as I could off the top because the roots were kind of on the bottom of the root ball, so I knew I could kind of mess with the top a little bit. So I thought maybe that would work to my advantage so I don't have to keep digging, because I was scoring that dirt for a while. And this plant's pretty hardy, so I took what soil I had left in the planter it came in, and I scooped that in. And then I scooped in extra dirt that I had around the backyard. And Muskie's made another appearance. He kept going up to my phone and putting his nose on it for some reason, so he was probably wondering why it was there. And so there I am putting on fertilizer while I'm backfilling it with dirt, and then I put in water, because that's what I do when I plant anything. I put water in while I'm filling the hole with dirt. And I'm guessing that this will be the last time I water this plant, because we are, in, the middle of October, I think, and we're down in the 70s and the 50s at night. It is going to go back up. We're going to get another heat wave this upcoming week in the 90s, but I think after that, hopefully, it starts to go down more. So I think this plant will be fine. It's also protected by the fan palm next to it, so I'm not worried about having to water it too much. When I water it once when it's planted, normally it pretty much takes care of itself after that. So, and here I am giving you a tour, a grand tour of the backyard and what's going on. So there is the cactus that I put in and that sweet, beautiful rock that it came with. There's a mangave and a Piloceras azuris. I think that's how you say it. I have monsteras and aloes. This area here doesn't look too great, but we'll get to that. And then this planter here with the Petalanthus and variegata. And lemon tree is doing awesome. It grows like a weed, and I'm constantly cutting branches off of it. And here, it's still super windy, but I'm just gonna show you these plants anyway. There's a red lantana that I planted. I think I planted it before this summer. I don't remember. And then a Washingtonia robusta that was hard to plant. And then the Ruellia is doing really well. And it's got purple flowers on it every day. And there's that Tacoma that I just put in. And that is the vantage point of the east side of the backyard. So here is a plant that I also recently just got. It's a blue bonsai jacaranda. And so it's protected by the Tacoma and the neighbor's palm tree. And so I'm hoping it'll do well next summer. We shall see. And then I also got a Bismarckia. It's still a little baby. I know how big these things can get, so I'm really interested to see what it's going to look like when it grows. Pretty exciting because I need all the shade I can get back here. And there's a pygmy and the Tacoma. And I think here a jet was flying over. They fly over the same direction all day, every day, just about. And there's an Air Force base nearby. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And there's a European fan palm. And some of the planters that I still have here. Canna, hibiscus, plumeria. And I have another canna lily here that's really big. I'm going to have to move it eventually. And over here I put in a cutting actually from the other pencil cactus I have. So that one can grow nice and big and tall. There's a pygmy, the mule palm, and another Tacoma, and a pygmy again, because they're awesome. And there's the inkblot that I put in. It adds some really nice color next to the euphorbia and the cactus. And I'm not sure what else I'm going to be planting there, but you'll know soon. There's the original pencil cactus, doing amazing. Mexican fence post, portulacaria, and this cactus here, look, it has 2 other pups growing out of it, which is pretty cool. I think I'm going to have to move her eventually because she needs more sun and she's getting a lot of shade in this area here. And that Mexican fence post is growing really tall. I can't believe it. There's another pygmy and a couple little lantanas there growing really fast. I just trimmed them back and they're already growing back super quick. They look like sticks a few weeks ago and there's leaves and flowers all over them. There's a canna lilies over there in those planters. Canna lily here. and more lantanas, the yellow and purple ones. I'm trying to go fast here. There's a planter that I want to put them in eventually. I took that out of it because they were dead. Another canna lily. And there's the bamboo plant and the lady palm. And here is the little succulents I had in all the planters that were the only survivors. And you see here that I had a bunch of succulents in that planter, but that's all I have left. And there is a banana plant, which I don't think I put in a video yet. And so yeah, here is my backyard, and thanks for watching.